Hi, this is Jade Edwards, District Coordinator of Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports for Clovis Unified, and we are here to talk to you about what it takes to apply for gold level recognition at the state level this year. Some things to note when applying for gold is that really what gold means is that you have two tiers that are in place with fidelity. That doesn't mean that it has to be tier 1 and tier 2. It can be tier 1 and tier 3. So if you weren't able to really put some groups in place to address kids' needs at a tier 2 level, but you were doing some individual things, then you can still apply for gold because you have tier 1 in place and also tier 3. So a new criteria this year for gold is becoming more familiar with student wellness by exploring some materials. So there's a few infographic materials that are about 3 to 4 pages, kind of a newsletter format that give you some information about mental health and wellness that are actually really great to become familiar with. They also made the academic impact section more understandable and easier to accomplish even under these current conditions. So we'll get into some of the details of what that looks like, but it can include iReady and very specific populations to show that there's some type of academic impact. We know that that area has kind of caught people up in the past. So we will make sure that that area is not the reason why you would or wouldn't be able to get a certain level of recognition. And then finally, we will have the leadership coaches coming out and completing the TFI with each site and doing a walkthrough. The walkthroughs can be virtual though, as well as in person. So there are some adaptations to make sure that we can accommodate things virtually. So let's go and take a deeper dive into each of the criteria for gold.
Hi, it's Carrie Machado, your PBIS District Leadership Coach for the Clovis East area. I'm going to talk about criteria 1. For this criteria, you need to have a Tier 1 TFI score of 70% or higher, and also a TFI score on Tier 2 or Tier 3 of 70% or higher. And it's important that this is done and completed with your external reviewer, which is your PBIS Leadership Coach. We're asking teams this year to complete the TFI first as a team, and then do a follow-up meeting with your leadership coach in order to answer any additional questions before you submit it. For criteria 2, you're going to report the percentage of your discipline office major referrals this year in categories of 0 to 1, 2 to 5, or 6 and more. It's going to be important that you make sure that the total equals 100% of your student population. If you did not keep track of your office discipline referrals this year, you can also provide a narrative of how participation was tracked. This can be done through work that students completed, as well as attendance type records that you took for online instruction.
This year, a new criteria was introduced into the recognition system, and that's criteria 3, which focuses on mental health and social and emotional well-being for our students. And really what they want you to do this year is just be familiar with what this content even looks like and means. And so they've created a few, 3 little infographic, kind of newsletter type content material that they want you to be familiar with and to peruse. So all that we ask you to do is just explore it and get familiar with some of the things that are yet to come, likely in measuring what mental health looks like at a school system.
Hi, this is Sai Hiani, School Psych and PBIS District Coach. In applying for gold and criteria 4, you'll need to create an action plan for Tier 1 based on your TFI results. You'll also need to create an action plan for Tier 2 or Tier 3. Again, that's that problem-solving process in increasing implementation and fidelity for those tiers.
Like we've said before, applying for gold means that you have tier 1 in place as well as another tier, which can be tier 2 or tier 3. It's up to you. If you are choosing tier 2, then just make sure, like we talked about in the last criteria, that your TFI item that you want to focus on as an action plan aligns with the fact that your tier 2 interventions are the ones that you're highlighting for your gold application. Now, if you're wanting to highlight your tier 3 interventions for your gold application, then make sure that the TFI item that you're forming your action plan around matches up with a tier 3 action plan item. So we just want to make sure you guys are choosing either tier 2 that you're focusing on or tier 3 that you're focusing on to be able to earn that gold level recognition. So for this criteria, you are just choosing, is it tier 2 or tier 3? You're saying what intervention, just pick one, even if you're doing many, at that level that you are implementing to support kids. How are you collecting data to see if that plan or that support is working? How many students are actually receiving that support? And then we also want to show that at least 70% of those kids have actually positively responded to that intervention. Criteria 6 is all about academic impact. And I know that this question has usually been a tricky spot for schools in the past. So they've tried to make it a little simpler to be able to do well on this one. So you have to pick a formative measure that you're using right now for learning continuity. So that can be something like iReady. And I know a lot of schools are doing that. DIBELS, any type of curriculum-based measurement you can use as well. And then you need to show positive impact for one student group. So this is where you get to be creative with your data. If you have one grade level, like second grade, that's really good at keeping that progress monitoring data, then use that. If you have had an intervention that's focusing on implementing iReady and you have data for that specific group, then go ahead and use that data. If you are reporting on EL outcomes or even socially economically disadvantaged, you can kind of choose what is one group that we have data for that shows positive impact and really hone in on focusing on that. So you're just going to also add what is a narrative that says how that group had access to that type of instruction and how PBIS supported it. And we're going to give you some specific examples during our upcoming trainings.
In applying for gold, criteria 7, a PBIS district coach will be coming to visit your campus and walking through some of your classrooms, approximately 3 to 4 classrooms. What we'll be doing is we'll be evaluating things like opportunities to respond, acknowledgement using your expectations with students, positive feedback, corrective behavioral actions, and providing clear expectations.
I am so proud of you for watching our video and for thinking that gold is the right level for you. That means that you have not only maintained a solid foundation of positive behavior supports for your kids, but you've also been able to provide solid interventions at either the tier 2 or tier 3 level during a global health pandemic. So that is amazing and something to be celebrated. And we want to make sure that you have everything that you need to apply successfully. So make sure to come to our trainings on either April 24th or April 26th so we can make sure to get you that help that you need and make sure your application is submitted in a way that will get you that recognition. We are so proud of you. Thank you for all that you're doing.